Hey guys, this is Danny.
And this is Jenny Fuentes.
And this is Dear Husband, Dear Wife.
Yes, it is a podcast that is about an imperfect couple keeping it 100% real. Where we talk about dating, marriage, and sex.
Yeah, all of it.
Yes, it is unscripted
Mm-hmm.
and it's centered in the truth.
Yes, we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the messed up, the shady, the pretty things, the beautiful things. All of it.
Oh,
Jam-packed.
yes. So thank you for tuning in and
We
get
hope.
ready.
Yeah,
We hope what?
I don't know. We just hope. We just hope.
We just hope that you will enjoy the episode that you're about to hear.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to Dear Husband, Dear Wife. I am Danny,
And I'm Jenny.
and this is Dear Husband, Dear Wife.
Yeah, and we're excited to do our second episode of the year.
Yeah.
So,
2024.
yeah, 2024, man. Good. Today we're actually going to be talking about love languages. So, if you don't know what a love language is, it's basically
A language of love.
a language of love. It's a way that we interpret love. And it was actually inspired by Dr. Gary Chapman, and he identifies 5 primary love languages. And so these love languages are used as a way that individuals tend to express and receive love in different ways. And so the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, gifts, and acts of service.
Acts of service. Yeah.
So we are going to briefly just define the 5 of them. So if you have never heard about this, this is such good insight because it's going to help you understand the way that you actually receive love and how you like to receive love. And you can obviously tell your significant other how you like to receive love. And trust me, there's so many pros to knowing your love language.
Yeah.
So words of affirmation. What would you say words of affirmation is?
So it is defined as people whose love language is words of affirmation, appreciate verbal expression of love and appreciation.
So, for example,
Simple compliments, affirmations, and encouraging words hold great significance.
yeah, so writing notes, texting, I love you randomly, or letting them know how special you are. That's very important. Acts of service is for those who have you heard actions speak louder than words? That's what acts of service is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So if your actions are not, if your words are not followed up by an action, then acts of service, then people whose love language is acts of service, they feel like, wow, I don't feel love. I don't feel heard. And also the word service is in there because there is an action of wanting to do like chores, helping with tasks, making thoughtful gestures, or powerful expressions. Those are acts of service. Now, receiving gifts is people who what?
Who like to receive gifts.
Yeah, they just love to receive
Who
gifts.
like the bling bling.
Well, not necessarily just material value.
Well, yeah, babe, what else is it?
Well, yeah, but it's not that the material value matters to them. It's the idea that they feel most loved when you have paid attention to something that they have been talking about. So it's connected to like this idea of like, oh, he heard my conversation that I've been wanting XYZ.
Yeah.
And he gave me that. So
Yeah.
So yes, it's like they feel love when they receive tangible gifts of affection. So it could be a necklace, it could be a ring.
Which costs money.
I know.
Yes.
And so, and please ignore Danny. That's not diminishing that if that's how you feel love, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. It's good to know.
That's literally how you feel it, then that's how
roses,
you feel it.
bouquet of roses. or a watch for some gentlemen, or like expensive glasses or whatever, like things that they like. So yeah, it's not just women who usually like gifts. There's also men who actually like gifts too. Or who feel loved by gifts.
Find a guy that appreciates gifts.
Well, you haven't yet found one, but there is men who actually feel loved by receiving gifts. The other one is quality time. And quality time is not me just sitting on the couch with Danny watching a movie, but it's more like undivided attention. So it's like when we are sitting at a dinner or we're going for a walk and we're talking, like quality time basically emphasizes the importance of undivided attention and also shared experiences. So like you're experiencing a meaningful time, your focused time with, your special significant other. And then last but not least,
physical touch.
Mm-hmm. And physical touch is the primary love languages for some individuals. And this means hugs, kisses,
hands-on action.
Yeah. Like they convey love, like cuddling, like massages, etc. So,
for those of you that don't like physical touch, I don't understand how you want a relationship.
You're horrible.
Or if you're even on one.
Please, no judgment.
Don't understand. Just click your heels and boom, you're pregnant, right? Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry.
No, but hey, some people, and on a serious note, I just want to be serious, and please forgive us. We're not trying to mock here. I hope you understand that. But the truth of the matter is some people actually can't receive physical touch because of trauma. But they still want to feel love. So if they've had a traumatic experience with physical touch, so we have to be very sensitive, because the truth of the matter is like some people have experienced physical trauma. And so a touch can actually trigger. So, for those people, we would say definitely you want to get help, professional help to help you move forward in your relationship. Because part of what Danny is conveying is part of being in a relationship. There is a sexual act a lot of the times in a marriage. There is the cusses and the higs. There's the
just a sexual thing.
Yeah, there's the hugs and the kisses and the holding hands.
When you're not intimate, but when you're emotionally involved with someone, there's always, and again I say this, always a form of expressing that emotion physically.
Yeah.
Again, holding hands or whatever, kissing or hugging. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you that are not too fond of that, then okay.
Yeah. And so it's really important to understand your preference and to understand your love language, because it actually helps your relationship to thrive. So I will tell you what my love language is. And Gary Chapman talks about how there's two primary love languages. Like there's one primary language and there's a secondary language. So there's usually your top two. And so if you've never taken the quiz, at the end of this, I will tell you where you can find the quiz so that you can actually take it. And then it's pretty easy and straightforward, and you'll know what your love language is. But my primary love language is quality time. And then my secondary love language, unfortunately, I tied for Danny. I tied on both physical touch and acts of service, which was very surprising because when we first got married, we did this. And I had quality time still. My number one primary never changed. But then I had words of affirmation. And as the years have progressed, in our relationship, we've matured. We've come to, hey, marriages change throughout years. And I think that's a misconception. People think, oh, they don't change, but they do. You grow within your marriage. You challenge.
That you shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, or that you shouldn't. There we go. But
you shouldn't change, but.
Yeah. No. So seasons will definitely develop other interests and whatnot. And so after 11 years, about to be 12 years of marriage, the way that I feel loved from Danny is always going to be quality time, number one. But number two now, it's definitely physical touch and acts of service in the season that we're in. So that's my love language. What's your love language, babe?
Physical touch.
You're number one.
And
quality time, your number two.
Oh yeah, quality time is my number 2.
Yeah. So how do you feel? How do you want me to express my love to you then? I guess is a question.
Yeah, I mean, physical touch is physical touch. Just touch me. That's it. That's all I need you to do. Just touch me anywhere and everywhere, and I will be fine.
Rub a dub dub.
Rub me in my shoulders. Scratch my head.
Rub a dub dub dub. Rub you in places.
Yeah. Rub the hell out of my kneecaps.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, again, it's physical touch. It doesn't have to be sexual.
No.
Just, yeah, holding hands or hugging. And
There's one thing that I noticed that you really love is when I give you head massages.
yeah, that's like the best thing.
Yeah. So like Danny loves
And
receiving.
I pass out every time.
Yeah. And that goes to show you, like, for him, his primary love language that he would love to receive from me is that I would touch him more, that I would give him massages, head massages, or rub his head. And he feels safe to the point where he passes out. So, like, there is this safety connected with your love language. And that's what I was realizing. Like, for me, my favorite thing to do with you is to actually really spend time presently. This is why I love dates. This is why, like, I love hanging out with you, or watching movies and then pausing and talking and whatnot. This is why I love to talk with you. And one of the things...
which we do that. We'll watch a movie and then we see something and then we pause it and then we're talking for like 30, 40 minutes. And then we continue whatever it is that we're watching.
Yeah. That, needless to say, is like, that's just one of the ways that I love Danny, for him to express his love towards me. And again, the other one is, I love it in this recent time. I have really enjoyed having Danny help me out with house stuff. Like, I remember one of our biggest arguments, was me not communicating with you and telling you, like, I was always feeling like I was doing everything.
It was that, and also if I ever did help you, you would just redo whatever it is I did, which also made me not want to help at all, because I figured, what's the point of me doing it in the first place if you're going to go back and redo what I just did? So
yeah, and so for me, it was a way of communicating. Like, I wanted Danny to reciprocate. Like, I didn't want to tell Danny what to do, but he needed to know, obviously, like, what I needed from him. And so now it makes sense to me why I was feeling that way. It's because, to me, that's my secondary love language. Like, it's both the physical touch and which is crazy. I tied on both of them. But when you do things for me, I feel really loved and appreciated. I feel seen. Like, sometimes I am exhausted and I just need you to do something for me. Or not I need you, but I want you to do something for me without me having to say something. Yeah. And so, like, learning to read those verbal cues, or those,
just tell me. We're not genies, babe. Men are not genies.
So I guess for those of you...
Women, look, it's very simple. Just tell your husbands, boyfriends, fiancés, whatever you call them, just open your mouth and tell us what you need. And we will do it.
Yeah. And I have a brother who...
You can't just stare at us and assume that we can read your mind and just, instantly start doing whatever it is you think you want us to do.
Yeah. And I have a brother who, like... acts of service is a big thing for him too. I believe it's either his primary or his secondary love language. But in his case, doing things like going out of the way and asking, hey, do you need help with this, goes a long way for him, and he feels loved and seen. So I think it's reciprocated both ways for both male and female. It's just the idea of, like, okay, you want to also offer. So I think for me, it helps me when you offer and ask me, hey, babe, is there anything that I can help you with? You know? So, yeah.
If you just tell me what it is I can do, then I could just do it.
Yeah. And again, what happens when two couples have the same love language? Awesome. Because then you guys know how to really reciprocate it. But in our case, we have different love languages. And though Danny and I share my primary is quality time, and I share it with his secondary love language. I know that he primarily prefers for me to do physical touch. And so I think one of the biggest things to understand is like to find the balance and to know how your husband, wife, your fiance feels loved, like how your boyfriend, girlfriend feels loved. And so why is it important to know and understand your love language and also understand their love language? I'm just going to share 3 things. I think number one, it teaches you to communicate very well. Like it enhances your communication. So in other words, like the way that you are communicating affection with your partner, with your significant other, it helps you to understand their primary love language and how they express their love, and so that you can express that love and reciprocate it in return. I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is like, it helps you to understand. So it helps me understand how Danny feels love, but it also helps Danny to understand me on how I feel love. And so it creates a bridge of communication. Because if I was to ever feel like, gosh, I don't feel loved, or if I'm in an argument, I can say, you know what, it really bothers me when you do. Remember, my love language is this. And it's like, it's a reminder for him to remind himself, or vice versa. Jenny, like, you're asking for this, but that doesn't mean a lot to me. Like, I know this about Danny. I will give him some lavishly, like, gifts. And he's like, oh, thanks, babe. But it's not necessarily his primary love language. Like,
it's like, okay.
Yeah. And
that's not to say that like it doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
I'm grateful and I'm thankful that she'll think of me in that way. But because, I mean, in that scale, it was the lowest. Receiving gifts for me was a 0.
Yeah.
That means that you can, I mean, just as an example, you can show up to my driveway with a brand new car.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I'll be thankful, but it's like
Yeah.
I was okay without it in the first place.
Yeah, and I think this brings me to a point that I want to make. I should never feel defensive.
Yeah.
If you don't respond the way that I want you to.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Because that is not your primary love language. This is why it's so important to know love languages. And this is why it enhances communication. Mm-hmm. So that there's not this miscommunication of like, wait, why isn't he so excited? Like, I feel so hurt that he is not excited and whatnot. The truth of the matter is he is excited. He was happy. He's glad he got it. He was thankful. But what he really wants from me, like a drum set.
Oh yeah, give me a drum set over a car. Now we're talking.
No, what I was gonna say is like a drum set will never triumph over quality time and physical touch.
Oh, of course not.
Because that's his love language.
No.
Now, how I love to show love is one thing. Mm-hmm. I do love to give Danny nice gifts. I do love to cook for him. I do love to cuddle with him. I do love to say a lot of positive things to Danny, because that's how I love to show love. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to interpret it that way. Yeah. So it's always important to know your love language and your partner's love language, because it helps you.
And to also be how can I say it? Be confident in the fact that, like, if you do express a form of love language to your significant other and they don't reciprocate it as much as you thought, that, like you had said, like, it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's just probably not their love language. Which
brings us to my second point, why it's so important to know love language, is because it's like it's a tailored expression of love. So in other words, people have distinctive preferences on how they prefer to receive love. Mm-hmm. And just because you like to receive it a certain way, so let's say you love to receive gifts, but your husband doesn't love to receive gifts, or your wife doesn't like to receive gifts, that doesn't mean that you should go ahead and do that. Does that make sense? I think there's this misconception that, and I think, let's just say for what it is, love language, your love language is how you feel loved by someone. And their love language is how they would feel loved by you.
Yeah.
And so you have to pay attention to that. It's really important to that. So it's definitely recognizing how the person feels love. And by fulfilling that need, you are creating a very healthy emotional well-being relationship. That's what you're doing.
Well, it's like any other language, what we deem as normal and okay and acceptable is probably not acceptable and okay
Exactly.
to like a different culture.
100%.
So, just because we're okay with it doesn't mean that other cultures will be okay with it. So we
Yes.
have, you would be mindful of that.
Yes.
So it's kind of the same in regards to these love languages where it's like, yeah, if my love language is receiving gifts and, Jenny is always giving me gifts, I cannot assume that her love language is is receiving gifts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, for us in particular, ours has nothing to do with receiving gifts.
No.
Which is why,
It doesn't really
yeah, for us, like, it's interesting when it comes
we both
to,
scored gifts as the lowest.
Yeah. But it's like, if we think about it, like, which is why, like, for me, like, when it comes to like birthdays and things like that, or Christmas or whatever, I like forget surprises. It's like, why am I going to surprise you? Just, hey, what do you want to do? What do you feel like, what kind of fun do you want this year?
Because for you, quality time is much more important. So like an experience will triumph over a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so good for us to realize. And then the third one, I think, that I want to touch on, like, why it's why it is important to know your spouse's love language, or your partner's love language, is because you want to prevent misinterpretation. And I think that's what we were talking about.
Or at least try.
Yeah. So without understanding how love languages function or the expressions of love, many times we can misinterpret a person's action.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like going back to the whole gifts thing.
Yes.
If I'm constantly, if my love language is receiving gifts, but Jenny's is not, and I assume that it is, I'm gonna give her gifts, and then her reaction is gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, and then if he's not careful because he doesn't understand my love language, he can misinterpret that.
I can take that as a misinterpretation and assume that
I'm unappreciative.
Yeah, you're unappreciative. You're neglecting.
Yes.
Blah blah blah.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where it's always good to know your partner's love language.
100%. So I think that's like one of the most important things to know. It's like, okay, cool. I am.
It's very simple, guys. It's really not complicated. I mean, not to say that that people are getting it wrong, but
yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised if everyone just takes the time to really get to know that other person and what their love language is. It changes. I mean, it's considered a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
For all you men out there that are trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cheat sheet, to be honest. You just find out what is your significant other's love language.
Yeah. And so I think, like the whole idea is to grow in our love. The whole concept is that we want to grow in our love, that we want to be able to support our partners in the way that they really feel loved. We want to be able to encourage them and show them love, how they feel loved. That's the whole point of knowing our love languages. And it's also very important for us to know our own love language, so that when we enter into a relationship, we let our person know, hey, this is how I feel love. It's not bad to say, hey, like my favorite way to receive affection from you is by XYZ. Whether it is by you helping me out with something in the house, whether it is by you buying me gifts, by you sending me love notes, by you touching me and cuddling with me,
It's
or spending quality time with me,
I mean, it's it's very interesting when you have two different people that grew up in two different environments, that live under one roof or are in a relationship. You're constantly getting to know each other, and life throws you all kinds of curveballs, and so personalities change to some extent. Mm-hmm. Likes and dislikes change to some extent. It's constantly evolving. And so we're constantly evolving. So if we're constantly changing, that just basically tells you that everything else about us is changing.
Yeah.
I used to be very, very outgoing. And now I hate people.
You don't hate people.
Part of life. Now I hate people deep inside. You got kids out here that
Yet we work with people.
You have kids out here that are, up till like crack of dawn, and I can't keep my eyes open past 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those things where, just life changes.
Yeah,
so,
you're constantly evolving.
So it's always good to, to be on top of that, to know that, hey, it's okay. You're going to also change too.
Yeah.
What you used to like, all of a sudden you might not like anymore.
Yeah.
Or what you once disliked, now you like,
Yeah. And this is why I would say it's so good to kind of always do like the love language quiz, like in very pivotal seasons of your life. Mm-hmm. So for example, like 5 years into your marriage, take the quiz again. Has anything changed?
We actually didn't do this.
I know. We just did it.
We just did it.
We did it right before we got married.
A few days ago. Yeah, we did it before we got
married.
No.
We did it right before we got married. And then we did it, I think, we did like a workshop at our old church in Santa Barbara. There was like a marriage workshop, and we took it then. Yes, we took it then. So it was like 3 years in. No.
So maybe like...
Not 3 years
So maybe 3 times since we've been married?
We've done it 3 times.
So 3 times since we've been married, and we just turned 11 years.
Yes.
And
it changed.
And it did change.
It did.
Yeah, it did change.
It did.
At least for you, it changed.
Well, for you, it also changed because I remember specifically, which I was surprised, was physical touch for you the second time was a secondary, not a primary. And quality time was first.
Really?
Yeah. And for me, the second time was words of affirmation and then quality time. So words of affirmation was first and then quality time was second.
Oh, yeah, for you, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think, so it's interesting. Like you are evolving, like you said. And we did do it. Actually, we did it on our 5-year. That's when the second time it was, because we had it was our 5-year anniversary when this wedding workshop happened, now that I think about it. So we did it before we got married, 5-year. And now again, we did it right now, right in our 11-year mark. So I would say, check in, make sure that you are still feeling the same way. I would say definitely couples who, have kids, maybe things have changed too, of how you feel time. Maybe back then quality time wasn't a big thing, but now you do.
But now it is.
Now it is,
It's a good reminder of where you stand at the moment. And this isn't something that you feel like you have to do every month or every other month,
No, but it's something that you constantly are working towards too. Yeah.
You're constantly it's in your mind, it's in your heart.
Yeah.
That okay, this is how I feel loved. Whatever, acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, or, physical touch. It just lets you know, this is how I feel loved.
Yeah, where a person stands.
And it lets your partner know also, okay, this is how she or he feels loved.
Yeah. So if you want to take the quiz, which we definitely encourage you to, you can go ahead and take the quiz at 5 Love Languages, the number 5, and then lovelanguages.com. And then you will definitely find the resource there. You can take it for free. You don't have to pay anything. And then afterwards,
I think like 15 questions.
Yeah, it's like really simple, really quick. And then it gives you like this amazing chart and breaks it down for you of what it is that what your primary and secondary love language is. So it's a great resource. If you have never done it before, we totally encourage you to do so. And if not, you can definitely buy his books. He has books called On the Love Languages. And by the way, for those of you who have kids, he also created the 5 languages for kids. And it's so important to,
Wow, I didn't know.
it's so important for you to know your kids' love language too. So
That's also good.
it's a great way to do healthy family and whatnot.
Hey,
So
kids grow up.
yeah.
Kids change what they used to like as a kid.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not cool anymore, Mom. Or we don't say those things, Dad.
Absolutely. And I think it's always really good to just know your child too. Like we work with kids. I mean, I get it. I don't have kids and people might be saying like, why are you speaking into, kids' life or parenting? But the truth of the matter is
Because
like,
we have a podcast and we have the right to do so.
no, but the truth of the matter is that I have 12 years of experience working with children. So,
I have 2, so that's more than enough.
so I think it's so important to know your child's love language. It helps you create better humans. That's all I can say. So, yeah. So I hope that this helped. And we thank you so much for taking the time to hear us. Our time is done.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, Happy New Year for those of you that are just tuning in.
Yeah.
Hope that this year treats you all very well and that it's better than last year.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we hope that once you know your 5 love language, that you can start implementing them.
Yeah. Hope we are hoping and praying for successful marriages.
Amen.
For better statistics.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Till the next one.
Till the next one. Adios.
Hey guys, thank you so much again for listening to the episode and for tuning in to the podcast. Again, I hope that the episodes and the podcast are encouraging. I hope that it brings you guys new light, new perspective, a new approach to marriages, to relationships. We hope that it gives you guys the right tools to be able to move forward and how it fits best for you.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or you want more details, just go ahead and follow us on Instagram at our Instagram handle, which is Danny and Jenny, or email us at contact@dannyandjenny.com. We look forward to
hearing from you.
Yeah, and to the next episode.
Awesome.
All right.
Take care.
Adios.